Okay, well, the Magical Kenya Open, I think, will come later. Right now, let's look at the weather. Chink and Amour is what? Armour. United fans, eh? You need to grab your emotional support drinks. Because I don't know if Amorim actually is going to really change what's happening right now.
I think he'll change.
How is he going to clean it up?
He'll change the mess. United have got to be a little patient. United fans are not used to being where they are, which is expected for a team which were the dominant side in English football for the better part of the 90s and a bit of the 2000s, but times have changed. Like I said earlier, domination is cyclic. United are stuck in a rut, the kind of which Liverpool became famed for in the 90s and the 2000s. Of course, Liverpool are now enjoying some bit of dizzy heights. I think to narrow United's problems to this season would be to miss the point. I think this has been brewing for a very, very long period of time. I am on record here telling Maxali earlier this season that I felt United had the right man at the wrong time, because Ten Hag was fired, when was that? October?
Oh yeah, around October.
Around October. And yet Ten Hag had presided over, I think, his biggest ever transfer window in terms of the recruitments he made in the aftermath of the FA Cup, the unexpected FA Cup victory over Man City. So there was a bit of a protracted struggle behind the scenes because the club were actively looking out for new managers. But then eventually, I think after failing to negotiate with Thomas Tuchel, the club decided to say, well, let's give Ten Hag the job. And then they gave him a big contract. So obviously, I don't know what kind of, the state of mind Ten Hag was in when he took over the job. They empowered him with the signings for Zaxi, for a couple of the other guys.
He brought Mazraoui, and Delete from Bayern Munich. They are both former Ajax players.
Former Ajax players. So obviously things didn't work out for the club, and then
Euro
then Euro came and got injured. So when Amorim took the job, people expected Amorim to be a miracle worker, and it was never going to happen.
Oh yes.
So
I still do.
For Amorim to succeed, it's going to need time. United fans today can't give Amorim the time he needs, and obviously because United is such a commercial cow, and then it's been one of the traditional sides of British football. It's a favorite for the media. You know, everything which is happening at the club is heavily scrutinized. When Amorim makes any statement on anything, it's going to be magnified.
Oh yes.
And at the end of the day, it weighs down on the players, and it's reflecting in the results of the club. Is he a good coach? I think he is. We saw what he did against Arsenal with 10 men. We saw what he did at Anfield. We saw what he did with beating Man City at the Etihad. So the club can actually post a couple of good results. The challenge, though, is that there's been issues with consistency and
financial constraints.
And the financial constraints are there. They're there, obviously. Jim Ratcliffe is making all kinds of cuts on and off the field, and they've been magnified as well in the English press. So United right now is a toxic club. It's quite toxic, and even when things happen at training grounds, Mark, at every club. You played football, Mark. All sorts of things happen at our workplaces, in our homes. But everything about United right now is going to be blown out of proportion because it's fashionable, it's trendy, it sells. People want to read United in crisis, or they want to read about United on a run of form. So I think the biggest test right now is on Amorim. The buck stops with him as the new coach. I love the fact that he has big balls. He's got to give them the middle finger and then ensure that he's in charge of the club, because he was tasked to restore the glory days to the club. It's not going to be easy when you have all these pundits. You have the Gary Nevilles and the Roy Keanes and the Paul Scholes and the various other guys who are emerging like they know the problems of the club, and yet many of them are failed coaches. So I think the club has got to stick with him. The club can't afford to preside over another managerial merry-go-round, because for how long are they going to be hiring and firing coaches, giving the new coaches watches, and then they fire the coaches, and then they expect the new players to do magic wonders with new coaches. I think it's got to stop somewhere. I don't think the club will be relegated. I think United is too big to go down. I think we know the teams which will be going down. And after the injuries to Kobe Maino and especially Amad Diallo, I think that puts to paid United's chances for a trophy this season. I doubt they can win a trophy without Amad Diallo. So for me, the only way out for United, for Amorim, is to stick to his guns, to stick to his system, believe in himself, and then come the summer, he can all of a sudden clean out the club, sell some of the players who are not deserving of that badge, and then build a team in his own image after a full preseason.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, United guys react every weekend to a loss, and the way they do. Understandably so. The disappointment is too much. If you lose, you lose to Spurs on the back of a loss to Crystal Palace, before which you had lost to whoever and whoever and whoever. So it looks ugly every weekend. But they've got to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that United, I can summarize it as United see out the season in which they try and improve their league position. It doesn't look very much like that now, but there are 13 games to play. United have played 25 games. They have a very low total of 29 points. But there are 13 games to play, out of which is 39 points to play for. If they get on the 11 of 39, which is only less than a third, they're on 40, the magical 40, and they've survived relegation.
They're not going to go down.
Yeah, but they will get more than that. I'm willing to bet. Many people don't think. Somebody told me the maximum they can get more is 5. But that's a disappointment with the Armour.
Well, I'm willing to bet within Man United will get 50 points. So
yes.
50.
So they do that, make a very good run in the cups. Mark says that he doesn't think they can even win the cup.
Without Amad Diallo, yeah, they can.
I believe they can. I don't know if they will, but I believe they can. The FA Cup and the Europa are still available. Europa League is big for Man United because they have to make a run in there and try and get themselves into a final.
They cannot win the Europa League without Amad Diallo.
Well, I think they can.
They can.
All they need is to get themselves into a final in which there's no club in Europe.
Manchester United cannot win the Europa League without Amad Diallo.
I said they can.
And can't in uppercase.
I said they
United
can.
Can't in uppercase.
I said they can, but anyway,
in bold, highlighted.
I said they can, and but it's going to be tough. There's so many teams left in the draw which are very tricky. Yeah. Teams which are playing better football than United, posting better results at home. Porto is in there, Roma is in there, Sociedad is in there. No, they're still in there. Even Mourinho's Fenerbahce, and all of them are still in there. And Mourinho can put together a team to beat you in a cup game, a one-off cup game, whatever. And his team is right now in form.
Well, even Spurs are still there. So.
But yeah, United can still win that comp. You don't have to play all of them, by the way. You don't play all of them to win it. So it will depend on things, so many things: the lack of the draw and the rub of the green, and also them getting better because they can. And I say that because there's an improvement. The second half against Crystal Palace, after the fans had booed United off the pitch at half time. Yeah. After the fans had done that, saw an improvement in the attack. United still did not put together enough of that to win the game, but they are improved. And in the game against Spurs, Spurs have got their defensive problems. But Spurs are looking in better health than United. They had 5 players.
Actually, I thought United played well against Spurs.
They did very well.
Very, very well.
There were shots on goal.
One of their better performances this is under Amorim.
There were chances created and shots on goal. Look. Even Rasmus Højlund had 2 shots on target, who never usually has even one. Although Vicario saved both.
Guys, you're too blunt.
There were 3 shots on target, one of which was really good from Garnacho. Although if he had scored his open chance, that game would have been totally different, and United fans would not be quarreling the way they are now. Because Garnacho, if he had scored then, the momentum was United's and they would have beaten Spurs. And then there was, of course, shots on goal from other people. Joshua Zirkzee missed a chance himself, and there were a few others. So the chances were there. And
Diogo Dallo,
Diogo Dallo and Dogu, just playing them in the right positions. You remember last week when we were here, how I was arguing, why do you invert wing backs and nothing? He played them in the right positions, and Dogu and Dallo between them swung in more than 10 crosses into that box, which United hasn't done all season from their wing backs. So there are things they can still do to improve on that and win. Amorim, of course, has suffered from several things. One is, and Mark knows I was saying this somewhere on a forum, is that it is noticeable, especially for people from our part of the world who watch a lot of Premiership football. It's noticeable that guys who come from different cultures get into the English Premier League, and actually, despite everything that they've been told about how tough it is, when they experience it, it hits them hard about how different it is from where they have been.
Yeah.
You just see it. You can see it. Mark has been talking about Ten Hag and the big window. The signings Ten Hag made just showed you how much he underestimated how big the task it was to manage Man United. He would never have signed some of those. He thought they were good enough to play there.
Yeah.
They are not.
Yeah.
It's because you think that you know the size of the club and how much the league demands until you actually play in it.
Yeah.
And you realize it's much, much tougher than you actually thought.
How did
So
I get here?
many guys get in there and hit. So Amorim has been hit by that.
Oh, definitely.
After
I'm
they lost to
sure
Spurs, there was in the post-match interview, this is Amorim who has been bullish, talking all sorts of things before.
And
He was
now-
asked a question because he had 3 17-year-olds on the bench, 2 18-year-olds, 1 19-year-old, and Victor Lindelof. That was his bench. The other guys, all the other guys had a combined total of 0 Premiership minutes. None of them had ever kicked a Premiership goal or ball. All those kids. I mean, Jack
that's-
Fletcher, Obi, Heaven,
That's
those
deadly.
kids. Now, so he was asked, have you ever been in this situation? Because the injuries are too much for him. He said, listen, I have, but it wasn't in the toughest league in the world. That admission for me was enough. He said, look, I've been in this situation with kids on the bench and everything,
Yes, yes.
but it wasn't in the Premiership.
Just like this, yes.
This is a tough league. So people are blaming him for not bringing those kids on, leaving people like Casemiro and Højlund on when they were not playing well, or Garnacho when he was being erratic. By the way, United fans are too hard on him. He's erratic, but still presents as one of their best attacking outlets. So the guy couldn't throw those kids on because he thought that they were not ready. It's just that simple. But that is all learning on the job, a bit about how the Premiership, making adjustments there. He will make those. But, and then the other thing, of course, is that the bit about the quality of the players. There's so much you can do sometimes. I mean, if you ask him, he's not going to say in public, even if he has been outspoken about, say, his fault with Rashford and all. He's not going to tell you that Rasmus Højlund is not a minority number 9. He's not going to say that in public.
No.
But it's there. There's frustrations that he has with people in certain key positions. And for example, one of the things that is hurting him in some of these recent games, and it hurt him very much against Spurs, is playing Bruno Fernandes out of position in the double pivot, which is deep. We played him with Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes is having to work too hard in a role like that. He covered so much ground doing almost nothing on the ball where he's most creative. Because he was trying to plug gaps of people, the wing back has gone, he's
That's
plugging
spreading
gaps.
yourself too thin.
Yeah, and so his
Even though
creativity
it's
is taken
yeah.
away when that happens. But it was because mine was absent rather. Ugarte was absent, Christian Eriksen was absent, Toby Collier was absent, all the midfielders for United are injured. So Bruno Fernandes is forced to play there.
Yeah.
And so these things have been happening all over the pitch for United. Mazraoui, who's naturally a right-handed wing back, is being forced to play in a back 3 because Euro is injured and then Martinez is out for the season. And this is what is happening at United. So these things all hit you at the same time, but they are very hard to contextualize for fans.
When it rains,
Yeah, it
Always.
was. Very hard to contextualize for people who are actually demanding. But Amorim, he started dying. If anybody is adjustable to conditions like that, it's him. I like the stubbornness about his formation. That's not how he knows how to play. I know he can make it work. Most people don't think he can. He can make that work. And I know that he's learning. There's some of the things. A friend of mine and Max is very angry with him. You can tell in his texts how angry he is. Only because of the way he handled Rashford. When you have a favorite player, I got angry with Mourinho because of the way he handled Bastian Schweinsteiger. I got angry with Ten Hag because of the way he handled Cristiano Ronaldo. And we're on totally different sides of that fence, me and Mark, for example. Now, somebody's angry because of the way Rashford has been handled, and I'm not too kind. But that man was saying, this guy is naive, he talks too much in the media. No. Yes, he's been baited by the media. and it's hard to say things he didn't need to. So yes, those are things you learn on the job while in the Premiership. That the media will treat you as a favourite of theirs.
Oh yes.
But they're setting you up to knock you down.
Yeah.
That's who they are. That's how they are.
Yeah.
So don't go comparing Rashford to a 63-year-old trainer in a press conference. Please don't, regardless of whether you're falling out with him or not. Those are things you learn. He will learn those things. He will mellow, but he can't manage United. And most importantly, there is no way you keep doing the same thing and expect different results. The same thing in United case, I mean, is keep the revolving doors open. Sack manager, bring manager. Sack manager, bring manager. Manager handles players signed by another one, sack him when he has bought his, bring another to handle those. You can't do that. United's most successful spells were under Matt Busby and Alex Ferguson, and these guys coached United for decades and long. I'm not saying Amorim should get 30 years like Fergie, but give him 5.
Let him be
give
there
him 5. That's what I'm saying. There you are.